Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is a little bit after 1 p.m. here in Crystal Lake, Illinois. It's time for another live stream. Today is Thursday, January 12th, 2023. And today, for happy hour, we're doing something new. We're not going boozy anymore. We're bringing in a friend. I think that's what I'm going to try to do. At least, maybe not every Thursday, but at least once a week, I'm going to try to do this. And I thought, who better to bring in than someone who I don't think I've had kind of on the channel or interviewed before, but someone you've definitely seen. And if you watch this live stream or if you watch my YouTube channel, you definitely know who this is. We've got Robbe here coming in from Baltimore. What's going on, Robbe? How are you?
Hey, how's it going, Kafuzi? Michael Coes, I should say. So you said you're in Crystal Lake?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the place where Jason murdered everyone? Camp Crystal Lake?
In fact, it is. So, and I had no idea because I've never seen any of those movies. I don't like scary movies.
Okay, yeah.
And so I'm at the like the pop-up the Halloween shop, like what is it called? Like Halloween Spirit or whatever. And I'm looking around and there's all these like Crystal Lake Running Club shirts. And I'm like, what is this? And I was like, what's happening here? And it shows like it's like Camp Crystal Lake Running or something like that.
Right.
And I'm like, what is this? I'm like, wait a minute, I'm in a Halloween store. There must be a Halloween movie where Crystal Lake is the name of a place. And now I'm regretting that I didn't buy it, but I'm pretty sure that it'll be available next Halloween.
Yeah, I'm sure you could jump on Amazon and pick it up like immediately if you wanted to.
Awesome, man. Hey, do you want to say hi to everyone listening on the audio only version on the podcast?
Oh yeah, hello everyone listening. This is Robbe from Leave It On, as Michael just said. I'm excited to be here. So hanging out with you. It's been a little bit since we hung out, I guess, at the running event.
Mm-hmm.
Not that long ago, but we had a good time there.
We got some people here.
Too good of a time.
we did. You know what? I think we did, and I think it definitely affected me. You guys said some really nice things about me on the podcast after that week, but we went after it pretty hard that Thursday. That night after the show was over, after the running event was over, and I was like, I'll still probably be fine for Sunday running. It's like 2.5 days away.
I like the optimism.
Yeah, and then I forget what day it was, but it was sometime in January, so fairly recently, where I had, and maybe it was like right after New Year's, where it was like 3 days after New Year's Eve, when I was doing a hard run, and I'm like, oh, I don't feel like 3 days was enough time to recover from a heavier night of drinking. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, wait. Yeah, that's kind of the normal train of thought. This is not like a novel idea here.
Yeah. I don't think the coach put that in your training plan to stay out till 2 a.m.
No, I'm very clearly I'm self-coached. All right, let's get to some, just like stop in with the chat real quick since we have everyone here. Stevie76 says having Robbe on Thursday happy hour is nice. Well, I guess it makes sense because I'm switching from not being a boozy happy hour anymore. And you've been dry for at least January and this Tokyo marathon build, so I think that's what he's referring to.
Yeah, I think it's like 5 weeks on Saturday, which I'm pretty sure is the longest period of my entire life, or since I was 20.
How's it going? How's all that for you?
Tokyo, honestly, it's been great. I mean, I think the not drinking thing has been a game changer for my training. I mean, it makes sense because I'm, getting better sleep, kind of just not like you're not fighting uphill against anything. Not saying it's like every day, but it's just like enough that you feel. I felt great the whole time. So I've been lucky that Andrew Castor's coaching me for the marathon. So and been hitting everything. So feeling pretty good about it so far.
Cool. Is Meg mad that you're not going to be using one of her training plans anymore?
I don't think so. I think probably relieved because every time I've asked her to do something in the past, I like roll my ankle or pull randomly get injured. I'm like, throw it out the window. So she's probably like, finally, I don't have to deal with this disaster.
All right,
anymore.
there we go. There we go. We got Dino DG in the chat says, hi, CoFam. I normally tune in on the podcast version after the fact, but tuning in live for the start of the guest series. So Came to see you
like
today.
it.
And then Sean Devlin, who's a regular, says, "Hey everyone," with the wave emoji. He did an easy 6 this morning, most comfortable run he's had in weeks. Think I'm being turned the corner with his foot injury, and he says, "Welcome to the live stream, Robbie."
Thanks, Sean. Yeah.
Can you explain for us what's the deal with the ROBBE?
Oh,
Spelling of the
actually,
name?
I can.
Okay.
And I'm glad you asked that because it's ridiculous. So it was something I basically started doing in high school, probably because I thought it was cool. And
Okay.
what some people call me Rob, some people call me Robbie,
Mhm.
and so I kind of like combined the two.
Okay.
And then even now, still some settings I'll say Rob and other times Robbie, but
Mhm.
I've kind of just spelled it that way since I don't know, 9th or 10th grade, and it's stuck. I kind of regret it now, but it's like I'm in too deep. So like, I, I have no other choice in life
Yeah.
other than to stick by it. So yeah,
Oh,
that's actually a good question.
that reminds me of a friend I had in like junior high school, and
Mm.
his name was Christopher, and he insisted on writing his name X Ofer because like
Oh yeah,
or like cross country
like
or Christ,
Christmas or
yeah,
like yeah.
Xmas, you know. So I was just like, I'm like, what are you doing, X Ofer? He's like, Christopher, get it? I was like, no. And then like a day later, I was like, oh, that's brilliant. I wish my name were Christopher so I could do that.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. So it's kind of how it's been, and I think too, like when I was younger, I was into, like I was a writer, like I did a lot
Mhm.
of writing and stuff, and it just seemed cool and different too. And now I'm like, I don't know if that was a great idea, but here we are.
A couple more questions from the chat. HBC San Antonio says, "Killer sweater." That is a nice one. I don't think I've seen that one
Mm,
before.
thanks. Yeah, I think we did like a limited run of this. Like it was like 3 years ago, I think, two or
Okay.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
But it's nice. Yeah. So
You guys have been doing a
great.
lot of merch lately. No? Is it the same? It's the same, or am I just noticing it more, or has it been more recently?
Uh, yeah, I think we're trying to focus more on doing like sort of limited drops, like,
Mhm.
I mean, we would like to do a little more than just limited. Some of the companies that we work with can only get so much stuff. So,
Mhm. Mhm.
but yeah, just keeping it like this is cool. We're doing this one time, maybe two
Right.
times, and like it's
Mhm.
done for. So,
Okay.
but people seem to like it. Like the Tracksmith sweatshirt we did,
That one sold
which
out
like
fast.
we were super bummed. I mean, it wasn't like a huge amount of product, but
Mhm.
it was crazy that it sold out super fast. But I do love that sweatshirt too. I
Mhm.
wear it probably 3 or 4 days a week.
Nice.
Yeah.
Shannon Side says, "Yo, the Cofamsy and my fave dude from Believe in the Run."
What's up, Shannon?
That's cool. And then a question from Midlife Runner. He wants to know, are you faster than Thomas? And if so, how often do you remind him of it?
Oh man. I guess so, but he's older than me too, so it's like I guess you got to tier it in a way. So, but yeah, no, I think I definitely don't remind him of it. I think we're all like pretty stoked just to see each other doing well in different
Yeah.
ways. But um, yeah, so maybe right now we'll see. Next month it could be totally different.
Yeah. Well, once you get through this Tokyo training block, like who knows?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
you
exactly.
might walk away with some faster times.
Yeah, I'm excited to see for sure.
Can you tell me a little bit more detail about like what the workouts are like from Andrew Castor's
Yeah,
plan?
yeah, and for anyone listening, you fast forward to the boring part here. But no, so it is interesting because normally I just always did my own training, or even if I had someone help me with it, it'd be like 5 or 6 days a week, and
Mhm.
then a speed workout, middle of the week, and then a long run on the weekends. And you kind of go like up by 2 miles, kind of ramp up, and then come back down and ramp up again, which is what I've always done. And then this schedule, I don't know if it's because he mostly coaches elite athletes, but I'm like, he sent me over, he sends me the schedule. And I'm like, I think. Oh, in the beginning, I told him, yeah, my peak marathon training is like 46 to 50 miles.
Okay.
And week 3 was like that. It was like
Oh.
48 miles. I was like, okay, cool, cool, cool. I haven't ran like after the New York City Marathon. I basically didn't run for like a month or
Yeah.
and and then he sent the schedule. Like it was a pretty hard week last week, and I was like, sweet, I could take off Monday. Like, and so he sent over the schedule for this week, and it was like 6 miles Monday, 16 miles Tuesday. I was like, oh, so
Oh,
Tuesday long runs are a thing now. Okay, cool.
okay. So every Tuesday is a long run and you have a weekend long run?
No, it's just random. It's like so like last weekend I did like 10 miles on Saturday, but 6 at like tempo pace or
Mhm,
threshold pace.
mhm.
And then a 10-mile run on Sunday. So it was like 10-10.
Okay.
And then it was 6 Monday, 16 Tuesday.
Oh,
So
yeah.
but and then I have a 13-mile run this Sunday with like 10 of those miles hard, like at 7-minute pace.
Yeah. That's a lot.
So it's wild. Yeah, yeah. I'm like
That's more than like
cautiously
50
like,
miles a week though. I mean, I didn't add
yeah,
that up. It sounds like a lot more than
right
50.
now it's like this week's 50. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Wow. All
Yeah.
right. But you got
But
plenty of rest days
it's
in there though,
certainly
right?
yeah, so like I had off yesterday and like the next 2 days like 5 and 3 because I had like a
Okay.
9-mile workout
Mhm.
this morning.
Okay.
So there's like some cool like shorter days. I actually like the weirdness of it because it's
Okay.
like keeps you on your toes, kind of just.
Mhm.
And he only sends me 1 week at a time, so that's all I know is coming.
Yeah. And do you like that getting only one? That would drive me crazy. I'm like, I need the arc. Where's the arc? You know what I
Yeah, I
mean?
wasn't sure about it, but now I like it because it's kind of just like blindly going into it, and each week is a mystery box that you have to unwrap.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, Rambling Runner's here, and he says, "Hooray for that boring part." He likes that kind of
You're
stuff.
welcome.
He loves to dig
Yeah.
in.
Oh yeah.
Um, so it's good to see him here. And then Eric Perriman, another regular, says, "Props to Believe in the Run on the Winter Grit swag. Send out. I knew the top would be quality, but I'm wearing the new Believe in the Run
Oh
beanie
yeah.
right now, and it's comfy. That is a very
It
good
is
hat."
nice for sure. Yeah, we were stoked about the grit swag this year. It really came out nice, and I'm glad that we were able to get it out. Like that was the other thing. This last week was that like my highest week it was like 47 miles or whatever, 48 miles, and my body already doesn't feel great, and because I'm not quite used to it. Actually, this week I feel good, but last
Okay.
week was that adjustment period, when
Yeah.
you're like figuring out like, can I do this? And then we had to pack all the grit packages like on Thursday and Friday, and so I was just like, it brought me back to my actual working days as a real manual laborman.
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
I do enjoy that hat quite a bit. I already had the same top before. So when I signed up,
oh
I
right.
signed up to not get it. And I was like, and then I saw the hat and I was like, oh wait, how am I gonna get the hat still? Like I was like, how I'm like, can I I
Well,
mean, I was like, maybe I need to email Megan because then I could be like, Megan, I still want a hat. Like I
yeah,
know
yeah.
maybe that's not the normal way, but can you give me a hat maybe? But I'm glad I got a
Well,
hat.
we didn't. Yeah, we had no idea it was gonna sell out so fast. So
Yeah.
otherwise, we might have done like the hat only version like
Okay.
beforehand.
Yeah, yeah.
But we were able to get more hats in like quickly. So we were able.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways.
That's good. Really cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Let's see. Sue N's here says, "Hey everybody, nice to catch a live stream, especially one with a special guest. Everyone's happy to have you here, Robbie."
Thanks. Certainly special.
You mentioned writing, and Rambling Runner picked up on that too. He says Robbie is an excellent writer, which I will agree. I don't know if you guys have read a lot of Robbie's writing, aside of he does really good reviews too. But like, and we talked about this on the live stream yesterday when I told everyone you were coming. But you're a good writer as well. And Rambling Runner wants to know, Matt wants to know, do you have any plans to engage with the process more in 2023?
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
So I think one of the things we're working on, and we're actually rolling out like a new website with Believe in the Run soon.
Mhm.
So, and we're going to be, I think, focusing more on some more written content and things like that. And And also, by the way, if anyone's listening, we're hiring an office manager, so please take some of my tasks off my hands. So that is one of the goals, is kind of having another person on to help manage, like take care of the things that are not really conducive to maybe like my strength. So, so like writing is probably one of my number one strengths. So if hopefully in 2023 I'll be able to focus more on like some interesting, cool running stories, and just things with the industry, maybe things that you might not hear, but with the contacts we have, be able to access some people that can kind of get into that, and then write some stuff like that. And there's a couple things I'm working on now, but also, yeah, for sure, like just getting more into writing. I think I posted a thing. I mean, even just daily journaling has been, I've been doing it pretty consistently for the last month, so that's been really helpful, just kind of be creatively doing that. I got that Tracksmith NDO journal, which has been very cool. Just writing. I've never been good about journaling my training, but I've actually been doing it now, so it's nice looking back and just getting your thoughts out for the day.
I have that same one. Actually, I have two of them because someone gave me one when I was in New York. They're like,
nice.
They were like, "Oh, we're happy you're here," and they just started throwing a bunch of stuff in one of the bags, and I was like, "Okay." And I was like, "What? I don't know what this is. Is this like a daily planner?" I'm like, "Why would I use a paper planner? I don't understand this." And they're like, "No, you can journal in it." I'm like, "Why would I keep a paper journal? Like, how am I going to word search it later?" Like, I didn't understand. But now I've just been using it as my to-do list, just because I do like the cover of it. It's nice. So I just use it as a to-do list, and it has just a bunch of like action items crossed out. But I've actually kind of been liking that because it's been helping me kind of stay a little bit more organized. Like I've been suffering from a lack of a little bit of structure. I could use an office manager too. I just need a babysitter, basically. I missed like an important phone call yesterday that I was supposed to go to, and I kind of screwed up. And I'm like, should have wrote it down in my little blue book. Then I would have remembered.
Yeah, man. I'm the same way. It's hard to. There's just so many, especially I think with what we do. There's so many tangential things that people don't realize. Where you're just these little things, like people reaching out, they need to get back to, and then you need to get back to them again. You need to get back to them. It's like this, but it's a bunch of those things that it's like, oh, I got to do this, got to do this, got to remember to do this. It's a lot, man. Like there's surprisingly a lot of menial tasks that go into, everything that we do.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's all part of like, for all of us that are kind of like becoming more, this is more than just like something that we do after our runs now, And so like,
right.
It's weird because you're like, well, why am I going to treat my running like a job? But I'm like, oh, this is a job now. So like, I kind of have to be a little bit more professional and responsible. Like I was capable of that before when I had like a regular job. And it's weird to have to apply some of those things here. But like, now I have to kind of start doing that.
Do you feel like like part of the original joy and excitement about everything, it just, once something becomes a job, it almost, it's not like, I'm not saying like you don't like it, but it's just like, I think sometimes people look at us and think, oh man, they have the greatest job, blah blah blah, they get to do this. And by the way, it's awesome, like for sure. And I think we work our asses off to try and get to where we are, but there is something about it where you're like, it's still like, it's my life, like this is my job, and it becomes like, that's the baseline now, you know what I mean? And then all the stuff that like maybe didn't annoy you before or stress you out before, you're like, it's like you get to a point and then you just find new stressors or new things to fill that. Do you know what
I mean? Like your mind craves like work annoyances. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's like I think there's like your mind always finds like, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe this. I don't know. You always just like find things to fill your mind with, like, I don't know, to overcome or something, but it's just,
I could say that there are certain times where like things feel like a job and not like that fun thing that I used to do on the side anymore. Like sometimes there's a shoe that will come in and I'm like, oh, I'm not so excited about this one. And I'm like,
right. That's what I mean.
This is going to take me
exactly.
45 minutes to do the B-roll, and then I have to run a workout in this shoe, and I don't think it's going to be good. I'm like
that's
dealing with that like right now.
That's a perfect example of what I'm. Yeah. Sorry.
But like, so that I can understand, because like before I might have just before the shoe wouldn't have got sent to me, and I wouldn't have bought it, and so it wouldn't have like come across my desk. But now it's here on my desk, and I feel like, well, I need to at least make something about it. So
that's kind of what I meant, because when we first started doing this, you're like, oh, I get the Brooks Levitate. Hell yeah, like this is awesome. Like, sorry, Brooks, but like now and it's not like I'm not grateful for it at all. Like, it's just like in the day-to-day doing of things, it's like that, like it shifts, and it's interesting how that works.
So how does that go at Believe in the Run when like a shoe comes in and like people aren't excited about it? Like,
so
do you guys take turns on the shoes that you guys think are going to be boring, or does the low man on the total, does Brandon get all those, or like how does that go?
I feel like it always just goes to me, because I'm just like, I'll do it, whatever. Like, not always, but like one of the things I do try to do, I think, with maybe newer reviewers on the team, because we try to be very selective about who we put on a team, but if there is somebody who's relatively new, I try to give them the shoes that maybe we wouldn't like, not because I don't think they're good shoes, but because like they have a fresh perspective on shoes, whereas like, oh, if we're always running in like the Saucony Endorphin Elite or Adidas Saucony Endorphin Speed or Adidas Takumi Sen, or it's like it's hard to be like give a fair judgment on the $100 Brooks launch, like I guess 110 now. So I like to give it to other people to have like, or maybe just at least mix them into it, so there's like definitely a fair perspective for it.
Stevie76 wants to know, is there going to be a Believe in the Run summer internship? I mean, you're hiring an office manager. Maybe. Are you guys getting some interns running around?
I mean, we're always open to it for sure. I think the only thing that's hard with an internship is that it's because it's a temporary thing, to get someone caught up on the nuances and kind of teach that. By the time you actually get through that, it's basically over. So, or there's only
but if you get left. Like a young like communication student coming in after their freshman or sophomore year, then like that's 3 summers
I'm
of
totally
free labor.
open to it.
Not free labor. I mean, hopefully be a paid summer internship, but then but there's still work on your side too, because then you have to like sign paperwork.
Yeah,
and
I mean, if I'm going to be honest, that's what it is. It's even if it is like somebody, even if it's unpaid, like it's more we're stretched to the like gills as it is, just trying for everything else. So it's just like that extra thing. But honestly, it could be worth it. So we're always open to somebody who wants to come on and like help out. And by the way, an intern that we did have a couple years ago, his name was Nick Sanchez. He was at Arizona State University. He just like reached out to us. He was the one who suggested we do the podcast, and was the first person to produce it for. I think he did our first 100 episodes, and and I mean, without him, like the drop might not be a thing.
That is that is like the one of the few like regular listens that I have every week. It helps that my name gets dropped every once in a while, because I'm.
Oh yeah. But you're a pretty regular topic of conversation, yeah.
But I do enjoy that one, because it is like, it's a lot like the energy that I try to bring here for this live stream is just like, people that are your friends just talking, not always about running, which is fine, but like the running feel ultimately is the connecting piece. And so I just kind of like that.
Well, so I think that's what the goal with the podcast was, to give something for runners that's different than, and by the way, this isn't against anybody who has just like runners on and talks about running, because I listen to those podcasts as well. But there's there's a lot of podcasts that just have
Mhm.
like the lineup of elites, and it's kind of like the usual suspects whenever they're making their rounds on media rounds that come on podcasts and whatnot. And for one thing, like no one needs to hear Christopher McDougall go on 6 podcasts. Like 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 I mean, we were glad to have him on, but like you probably heard him the week
Yeah.
before on another one.
Mhm.
And so we were like, let's get people who, yeah, athletes for sure, but also some industry people, some musicians, some just like randos, and obviously like people, YouTubers, influencers, stuff like that, like you and Ben Johnson. I mean, those are our most popular episodes, anyways.
Mhm.
And then also keeping it like no one wants to hear about my splits. I guarantee you, there is nobody that cares about what I ran for a 400, or nobody who cares what Scott Fauble ran for a 400. Let's be honest. There's like some people, but the majority of runners, especially with elite times, they can't even compute like what that means in real
Right.
life. So we want to bring something that's like, look, we're just hanging out and talking about stuff. We might talk about running, but we also might not. And
Yeah.
we still throw in a shoe review or whatever each week, since that's kind of what we do. But yeah, and it turns
Yeah.
out that people like it. So,
Yeah.
which
I mean, it works for me. Like I'm biased because I know you guys. I've met you guys in person. We
yeah,
spent time together. And so for me, it's very much like right now where I'm just like sitting around, except I'm not allowed to say stuff, but like I do
right,
find myself talking back to it sometimes when I'm out there running and listening, you know, I'll
I
just
love
start
it.
giggling or start talking back. Um,
Yeah,
so I do enjoy what you guys are doing over there, and I'm glad that it's growing. Here's a
yeah. I
couple more
think.
questions for you guys
Oh,
though.
sorry.
Um, Shannon wants to know what's your favorite karaoke song?
My favorite karaoke song. I have a couple. Um, I like to do, if it's a Friday night, I do Chicken Fried by Zach Brown Band. Um, but if it's, I like doing The Killers, All These Things That I've
Mhm.
Done, just because it's in my range. I like that song. Um, and what's my other go-to one? I think those are kind of my two like favorite ones to do. But I like mixing it like I'll throw in some Garth Brooks sometimes. Um, I like doing country more during karaoke, but also do like I mean I'm pretty much down for whatever.
I feel like country songs make for good karaoke songs generally. I just don't know very many, but
Yeah.
we spent a lot of time with grandma and grandpa over the past couple of years, and grandma listens
Uh-huh.
to a lot of country music, and so the kids
Okay.
now know a lot of
Oh
country
really?
music, and also
Like
their
this.
cousins listen to country music, and I'm just like, we'll get in the car and they'll be like, "Dad, play this," and I'm like, "What is that?"
Yeah.
And the I'll just have them like say it into Siri, be like, "Play whatever song," and then it'll come on and be like a country song, and I'll be like, "How did you hear this, and how do you know what this is?" And they're like, "Grandma played it at her house." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Oh, that makes sense." But
That's
once you
great.
get to know
Now
them, they're pretty fun to sing along.
now my wife, she's like she nails it. She does Shoop,
Oh,
like
yeah?
knows every single
Mhm,
lyric to that song,
mhm,
and so she's pretty big hit. And I think she did Coolio's "Gangsta's Paradise" last time we were out.
mhm.
Nailed it. It was pretty good. So yeah, I think those are like the family go-to.
One that I used to do a lot, and I don't really like karaoke that much, but when I did a little bit more was, Young MC's "Bust a Move." That's always a pretty fun one.
Oh yeah, yeah, dude. Why didn't you do karaoke when you were here in Baltimore?
I
Like,
don't know,
why'd you get on the mic?
That was a weird spot, man. I was like,
It
this
was
is
a
not a
weird
place
spot.
where they, I don't know. I was like, I don't want to get on the microphone here.
All right,
Plus, I was like,
next
plus I did
time.
not, what was I training for then? Trying to remember the time. I think I was
Well,
getting
that
ready
was
for
in
grandma's or
June.
something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
you
was right
were.
about
Yeah, yeah.
grandma's time. So I was like, I was not in the right mindset for karaoke.
All right, next time I'm gonna load you up on Jello shots and you're getting up on the mic.
Those are homemade Jello shots. I mean, I guess all
They
Jello
were.
shots are homemade, but those were like she made those at her house and brought them in.
Yeah, yeah, she did.
At least she was the bartender, though.
Yeah, true.
Jody wants to know if we're going to go to any karaoke bars in Tokyo and breaking drinking with sake after the marathon.
I've actually thought about this, and I am definitely down for some karaoke bar action for sure. And
Yeah,
I think
I haven't heard much about what's going to go on in Tokyo, so
I'm hoping some stories get told or stories happen or untold. Maybe the untold ones are even better.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think it's just going to be wild. I think we're all going to be weirdly like messed up because the time zone is going to be opposite.
Oh yeah,
We're going to have just run a marathon, and then I don't know. I don't know if they're
maybe I
going to let
should
us
start.
loose on
Maybe
the
I
city
should
or if
run.
they're going to like take us around somewhere. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know which one would be
Yeah, I don't know.
harder on us.
I don't know how that's gonna work either. Maybe I should start doing my training at night that for the 2 weeks leading up to it to kind of flip the script. You think? What do you think about that?
I think that's overthinking it. I think people
All right.
get really cute with like I need to train for the conditions and stuff generally, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
All
people
right.
just overthink it sometimes.
All right.
I mean, like I feel like if something happens and like the only time you can get your workout in is like 9:30 at night, you could be like, "Oh, well, getting used to
That's
running
how
at this," you
I
know?
used to train for marathons at night, like at 8 o'clock at night. It was crazy.
That's wild.
Not down for that anymore. Yeah.
That was before you had kids though, huh?
It was like right after I had
Oh,
kids,
okay.
so I think that might have been part of it. But yeah, I don't know. I used to like running at night, but now I much prefer getting up earlier.
Mhm. Awesome. Um, let's see. Have we got anything else in the chat? A lot of people are excited for the prospect of us all going out for karaoke. You're not coming to Houston this weekend though, are you?
I'm not. Yeah, I just wasn't really on my schedule or anything.
Mhm.
Although that was the first marathon that I ran, so
Oh, is it?
it was a yeah. So I liked it. I'm not sure what the conditions are this weekend. The last time I checked, didn't seem quite pleasant.
I think it's
But
gonna be hot.
yeah, so when I ran it, it was like 65 at the start and like 70s at 75 at the end, and it was like 100% humidity. It was pretty sad.
I think that's close to what they're gonna have. Although that race starts really early. I remember when I
Yeah,
ran it was
it's
like
like
2020 or something like that. No, 2019. I think
oh,
it was
okay,
2020.
okay. Hmm.
And I remember being pitch black as I was like going to
Yeah,
the start line.
it is right. So it's got us. What's that? 6:30 or something?
Yeah.
Right before 7. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Jody Beck says about the time zones. He says, as someone who has traveled to the opposite time zones for a marathon, you just need to be there a couple of days beforehand, and then you should be okay.
I think that's the case, right? I don't know. I don't even know where we're going. Okay.
I don't know. I don't know either. No one has said
Yeah.
anything to
Okay.
me. Eric says though, I've never been in Houston without ridiculous humidity. So, which it was humid the day that I ran too.
Yeah. It seems like it just goes along with the territory, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, JC says Houston can be brutal. It's best to avoid. Spoken as a Dallas guy.
Oh man.
Is there a way that you guys decide like who goes to what events, or does it depend on like it like just depends like event to event?
Yeah, it just depends. I think Houston was just something that Thomas and Meg were doing pers-
Mhm.
personally. They just wanted
Okay.
to go or whatever.
Yeah.
And then some of the other events, it's it just depends. Like it's not like we don't always all have to go, but
Mhm.
usually works out that we do, just because it's easier to capture more content and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think this year it might be a little bit broken up depending on the events, because there's been a lot of people reaching out to do events. So,
okay.
I mean, personally, I don't like to be gone more than 1 week in a month from home. Just like, that's just like how I am. And so I might hold back from a couple events, but definitely, obviously, be at Tokyo, definitely be at Boston, probably Falmouth. I don't see why not. And then I don't know, whatever else is happening. There's nothing definitive right now, but
yeah. Someone was asking earlier, are you guys going to Cherry Blossom this year?
Cherry Blossom.
Yeah, I didn't get
What
it.
did you say?
I didn't. Someone said that earlier in the chat. If you guys were going, and I
mean,
enjoyed that race,
45 minutes away, so
that's true. Yeah. No one invited me. Not that I need an invite to go, but I probably wouldn't like book my own flight and hotel to go.
Right.
So if someone,
it's a 10-mile race. It is iconic, but
it's nice though. The cherry blossoms are nice.
What about that? What's the Peachtree? That would be a cool one to go to.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a desire to go to that?
Yeah, except for the fact that it's like Atlanta on July 4th. Sounds like a terrible idea on a super hilly course.
It sounds like a death fest, but
yeah. So I would rather do. I'd rather do Boulder, which is I think is the same day, right? Is that all? No, is that a 4th of July race? That is 4th of July race, right?
Remember, I think so. Yeah.
Adam in the chat knows. We've talked about it before. Yeah, Martha's asking about too. Okay. What about Boulder? I think that's a 4th of July race.
There you go.
Last year I was in Mammoth and I did the Mammoth Mile. It's a downhill mile, but it's at like 6,000 or 7,000 feet. It was just, just absolutely miserable.
That's funny.
But you said you are going to Boston this year. Shannon wants to know if you're going.
Yeah. Well, I'll be there for sure. Don't think I'll be running it. So I don't know. I think I'll just be hanging out.
Yeah. I was thinking about going. Well, I'm just hanging out for Houston this weekend. Like I'm not running. So that's why I'm doing 2
shakeouts. Really? Oh,
yeah. That's why I'm doing 2 shakeouts.
Doing like the half or something. Oh,
gotcha. No. So I'm going to the shakeout at 9, and then I'm going to run from that shakeout to another shakeout at 10. So.
Oh, sweet.
I'm trying to get 10 miles on the day anyway. So I'm like, by the time I run to the first shakeout, run that shakeout, run to the second shakeout, and then run that one, and then run home. I'm hoping, or back to the hotel. Hopefully, it's 10 miles. So
I mean, I think that's Newton's 4th law of science: 3 shakeouts equals a long run. So.
Yeah,
you're good.
Yeah, so I think it'll be all right. But I'm not like I also need to get some miles in on Sunday. But like that race starts so early, it's not like I'm gonna run like 10 miles before trying to chase like and Megan and Ben Johnson
and
around a course.
And it's a looped rate. It's a looped course, so it's kind of, I mean, not a looped course. I mean, it's just like a loop, and so it's not like you can run from, not like at World Champs where you could hit up like 7 different viewpoints. You basically like don't have too many options between.
Yeah, so it'll be So the other thing is, I think the race to watch is the half marathon on Sunday.
Oh yeah, dude.
Respect to the marathoners, but the half marathon fields are stacked, and so like
ridiculous.
I mean, they're going to be done in an hour, so it's like I don't want to get too far from the finish line.
True. Yeah.
And so that's the thing. I don't think I'll be able to see that many people that many times.
Yeah. The stresses of a YouTube documentary.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm thinking that I'll probably figure out what Thomas is doing and just run around with him, because that's what we did at Worlds. So,
I think he's trying to run the half. So
is he still? I thought he dropped out.
No, dude. He dropped down to the half and then was like, "Am I gonna run? Am I gonna not?" But he's definitely going for it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think it's just like not not a race
Yeah.
pace.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
kind of just
Okay.
running it.
Okay. I didn't know if he was like out, or if he was just not like going for a PR.
I think it's more just to stick it to use. Like he refuses to relinquish the $45 change fee that they made you pay to drop down to the half.
Oh, really? Okay.
Plus the original entry, so it's like it's more that like a sunk cost
Okay.
analysis at this point where
I see. He has to run at this
yeah.
point. Serious Runner is here. He says, "Come run Boulder, Boulder."
I mean, he's serious, so you have to
Yeah.
do it now.
How many times have you run it, Steven? I wonder how many times Steven has run it. Super and Jit wants to know, when is Robbie coming to Chicago to run with Co to try and find some Midwest trash?
Ooh, I like that. A little bit of geographical change could unearth new treasures.
Well, we all kind of did like a trash run in Oregon when you found that pin at a bus stop. Do you remember that?
That was wild. Yeah, man. That was like,
I felt like Thomas had planted something for you to find, because I'm like, why would an A6 pin, like a pin, like something that you clip on, in case I'm saying that funny for you guys,
right?
A pin, why would that be under the bench of a bus stop? I'm like, that's on the way to the marathon. I'm like, it's because Thomas put it there, a little Easter egg for Robbie to find.
That's a logical explanation, dude. You know how my whole life is on this trajectory because of something similar. I don't know why I'm telling this story, so apologies to everyone listening. But when I was a little kid, my grandma, she would by the way, this is what growing up this is entertainment when you grow up in the country. She would bury a bunch of like coins and random objects in the backyard and be like, "Oh, there's treasure around here. You guys should go check right over there." And point like exactly to where it was. So we just dig a hole in the yard and find all this money and stuff, and we were like losing our minds, like, holy crap, like there's just money everywhere.
Yeah.
And so we just, and I didn't realize that she planted it until I was like a teenager. So I was my whole life I just think that there's money in the ground wherever you go. And
was there like, were you like digging up grass, or was it like kind of like a dirt patch, or like what was going on? Like,
yeah, like grass. I mean, it's like, overturned earth, I guess, but maybe some grass mixed in or whatever. But we didn't know. We were like 6 years old, so you don't even think that's a possibility that someone would have buried that there to set you up for it.
Yeah. Jody has a good question. Do you watch Bo Miles, like the YouTuber? He's from Australia. Bo Miles. Are you familiar?
I can't remember if I've watched his videos or not, but now I'm definitely going to after reading this sentence.
He does some running. He does some kayaking. He's like a nature guy, but he does all these different kind of adventures. And sometimes he'll be like, I'm going to start from point A and get to another point B, like 200 miles away, with whatever I can find along the way. And sometimes he'll eat random food and drinks he finds. He's like, if I see a banana, it has its own wrapper. It's inside the peel. There's no reason why I can't eat the banana. And he'll like explain that to the camera and then eat a banana he found like on the side of a highway.
That's a good point. He raises some excellent point and information. Wait, I gotta find this guy. This is amazing. I'm definitely gonna ask him to come on the podcast.
Yeah, you'll go down a rabbit hole. You will definitely go down a rabbit hole watching his videos. They're a lot of fun. He did one where he ate nothing but cans of beans for like 30 days. So it was kind of like this like low carb, like can you convert your body to be like fat burning exercise? And by the end, he was like, I freaking hate beans. But it was pretty.
Dude, I'd hate beans, but at the end of the second day, 30 days.
He did it. He did like a 50K as well. And his only nutrition was cans of beans. So his pack was full with like 8 cans of beans.
Oh, man. was he drinking it through? Was he drinking it through a large Camelback straw? Because that would make it awesome.
He would stop, peel open the can, eat the beans, and then drink the liquid. I mean, he would drink water too, but I'm like, that's all he ate. And he's like, the liquid is starchy, so there's like kind of some like natural sugars in there.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I could do baked beans in that situation. If it had bacon in it, maybe, but
Yeah.
I don't
I think
know.
after a while he got bored. I don't know when at some point he just took the labels off because like I just don't want to know. It's like the only
What, to
surprise.
lose weight? Oh, to
No,
surprise it.
so he'd be like, I don't want to know. It's the only surprise I have on my day. It's the only pleasure I get from eating is like, what kind of
Oh
beans is
yeah.
it going to be when I open this can? It was pretty funny.
I like that. No, I'll have to watch that. I know, obviously I love weird stuff like that where people just come up with random things. When we interviewed Mike Wardian, that was a good time because he's kind of a weirdo like that, where he'll
Mhm.
just think up a dumb route and just do it. Like he did the
Mhm.
Beltway, he did the DC Beltway one day just for fun or something. Who does that? He runs the perimeter of the Beltway.
Yeah, that
I
sounds
mean,
miserable.
it sounds like the only thing worse than driving the perimeter of the DC Beltway, but I like it.
Yeah. You know what? Mike Wardian is that person who like is always there. Like he's at every
Oh
event.
yeah,
He's always everywhere all at once. I don't know
yeah.
how
He
he
just looks like Johnny Appleseed rolling up to some random race. Like just expect him to have a one of those hobo bags over his shoulders. Where'd you come from? Oh, hopped a train for 30 miles and ran the rest. Like
Yeah, that's
sounds like
funny.
something Mike Wardian would do.
But I would say like I don't have the same thing that you have with like finding trash all over the place, but I do spot wild animals all over the place. I would say that
Mm,
that's my version of that. And
okay,
like
yeah,
I would especially spot it in Chicago, mostly rats, but all sorts
yeah.
of other animals. And
I will.
like I found a coyote one time in
Oh
Chicago,
wow. Okay,
which
that's
was
impressive. Yeah, coyotes are everywhere, man. They're just
yeah.
like they're like the rats of the dog world. They just go everywhere they want.
Yeah. At first, I thought it
We
was a
do have.
regular dog, and I was just gonna go say hi. I'm like, "Oh, where's your owner? Are you lost?" Like that scene in Elf where it's
Oh
like he finds
really?
the raccoon
Yeah,
and he
yeah,
wants to give it
yeah,
a hug. I was
yeah.
like, but I didn't get that close, but like I got close enough to know I'm like, "Oh, that's not a dog. That is a wild
Yeah.
animal." And then it was on the
I
news.
did see a. Oh, okay. Yeah, coyotes are crazy. I saw a fox last month in around here in our neighborhood. So, but,
Oh, that's cool.
I think there's a couple of them. But the rats, though, man, that's the one thing I just can't do. Is I
Are there
mean,
rats? There's not rats in
they
Baltimore? I would imagine there's probably some rats in
oh
Baltimore.
no, there's oh man, I've had quite a field day with them trying to eradicate them from my back alley.
Yeah, yeah.
I won't go into much detail in that regard, um, but when I run at night or in the mornings and you run past the trash can and they come bolting out of it, oh my gosh, man, that is like when
Yeah.
they run right between your legs. Oh,
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
is it freaks me out.
Yeah,
Just
like this
I don't need a
morning.
rat running into me.
Yeah. I mean, we're not in the city anymore. We're very far from it. But
Right.
even just like this morning, I'm just standing in the kitchen in the backyard. I see a neighborhood cat and it's in like pounce stealth mode. And I tell
Hmm.
my younger daughter, I'm like, hey, look, there's a cat out there. And she's like, what's the cat doing? I'm like, I think it's about to eat a mouse. And she's like, what? I'm like, just wait. And we watch it for like another 10 seconds and it pounces
Oh
and then it
no.
doesn't move. And then it
Uh-uh.
moves real quickly again. And the next thing you know, it just walks off and it's got a mouse in its mouth. And I'm like,
Oh, nice.
I don't think
Good
normal
job,
people
cat.
see these things. I see these things all the time. We saw like 5 wild turkeys walk through the backyard, some deer.
Oh, wow.
There-
Very
There's
cool.
there's some sort of egrets that live in the area too, because there's a lot of lakes around here, like little ponds.
Yeah,
Whenever it
yeah.
rains hard, there's a little puddle that develops in the back, and the egrets come hang out. I don't know.
I
I don't
love
think
it.
other people see that. I'm like a Disney princess, I guess. I'm like wild animals run over.
Yeah, right. Have you ever had birds dive bomb you before?
Um, oh, here's a weird thing that happened one time in Chicago. It didn't dive bomb me, but me and someone out, one of my buddies, we were working together. We're on the way to the courthouse, and all of a sudden, sometimes there's a building. Buildings aren't always just like flat. Sometimes there's like a little corner or an alcove. In an
Mhm.
alcove,
Yeah.
one bird quickly flew down, like right as we're walking by it. And moments later, another bird came through with a long, sharp beak and stabbed it in the chest.
No
And I was
way.
like, what was that? And I was like, this is weird. And like that was like the third of a string of strange bird deaths that I had seen in like
Oh,
consecutive months, where I would just be like walking across the street, like walking to the courthouse, walking back from the court or something like that downtown. And I'd just be like, oh, a pigeon in the road. And then boom, a car would like smash into it. And it'd just be like, why did the
oh
universe just
man,
show me all these
what?
bird deaths? Like that's really, really weird.
Right.
I did see a dead duck
Came
yesterday
in
on the side
threes.
of the pond.
Did you? Yeah, that's all. I don't like to see the dead ducks, but yeah, there's some weird stuff for sure with birds that you don't realize. You just think they fly
They're
in
not
nests,
real.
and that's it. Yeah, they aren't real. But I did have one on a run before. I'm not sure they're starlings or what are the kind of birds that it might be blackbirds, but it was dive bombing at my head, like
Mhm.
right by
Oh,
my
yeah.
ear.
Yeah.
Came back, circled back, and did it 3 or 4 times, and I was wide in the open. I had no protection, and I
Yeah.
was losing my mind because you can't see where it's coming from either. They just disappear and then show up right as they're about to hit you in the head,
Yeah.
and
So
that was pretty crazy.
that reminds me, in the Midwest, there are kind of birds. They're red-winged blackbirds, and
That's the one. I think that's the one.
they're
I think that's what it was.
organized and they're territorial. And where I run by
Yeah.
my in-laws' house, there's a couple of routes that I go on where I could see them along the telephone lines, and they're
Hmm.
equidistant spaced out. And as I
Oh
get to
wow.
one, that one will start harassing me, and then I get too
Uh huh.
far from its sentry point, and then the
Oh, and
next
then
one will
the
come
next
over.
one jumps in.
There was another time when we lived down in Guttenberg for a summer during the pandemic for like a month down
Hmm.
there. There was an area where I had a hat with like like sometimes like a hat that has that little button on the top. The
Yeah, yeah.
bird came down and kept trying to pull that button off,
Doesn't have one.
like the CLA, the 5
Wait,
panel.
really?
Yeah, it was like tugging on it. And I was like, what is happening? This is wild. And it got to the point that like the birds recognized me and they would all start swarming when I would come by this one street in Guttenberg.
Oh no. So then you had to
And,
wear one of those mustache nose disguises.
well, there was one runner, so like it was me. And so I always run with the selfie stick. So I would just wave it around at the birds to be like,
Uh-huh.
you gotta watch out. My arms are longer than
Favorite.
they look, like giving them
Yeah,
warning and
I
stuff.
like that.
But
Look larger than yourself.
yeah. But what I figured out is what freaks them out is because I would try to film them. Be like, I would sometimes be able to film them, and that used to be at the end of like every video, like a couple of birds like right overhead swarming me. And I realized that once I started recording them, they would go away. And I'm like, how is this
Oh.
possible? It's not like they're camera shy. Like that's not within a bird's
Maybe
conscious.
it's maybe they're really old birds and they remember back in the 1900s and people like scared to like look into the camera lens or whatever.
They were
Maybe
afraid of
that's
seeing
where they're
people's
from.
soul.
Yeah.
Um, what I think is happening is when I pointed the cameras at them, the sun would reflect and it would flicker.
Oh, okay.
And so that was the only
Got it.
thing that got him to
Actually,
stop.
you know what? Yeah, that explanation sounds a lot more logical.
Calvin Long says the birds were hired by brands to punish me for breaking embargoes.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised by that. Um, I mean, Nike does have a lot of money.
They do. They do. That's funny. Yeah, that was just like really well. Eric says he's been owl swooped. He had a mountain lion stalk him one time. Eric's out in Colorado. He's at the ladder.
Oh wow.
Although that
Okay.
happened to in Sonora, Mexico.
Dude,
Wild.
mountain lion. Yeah, I'm not messing with that. That's one of the scary ones for sure.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
heard about this. Did you ever hear about that weird owl mystery where somebody died and they thought that like her husband had killed her or vice versa?
Mhm.
And because they were like had like their head was all like mangled, like top of their head and stuff. And they were found like inside their front door, like dead. And it turns out that at first they thought it was someone killed them, and then after further investigation, it looks like what actually happened was that an owl swooped them and basically, like probably as he was walking into his house and just like killed him. Like I mean, their claws are freaking razors, right?
Oh, really?
And yeah, and just like that's ended up how the person died, which is wild. But
can you imagine if
sorry,
like tell me where you were on the evening of January 6th, you know, and then you'll be like, right? Yeah, I don't remember. I think I was getting burritos. Do you have a receipt? I don't keep a receipt for the burritos. Well, you're on the hook for this murder, so you better figure out where you were. I'm like, and then you're like, you know what? The owl did it. It was the owl.
It was definitely the owl. Yeah. It's a plot line from Harry Potter. I know it sounds like that, but for real.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but that was, I guess, I mean, you think about it, this stuff can happen anyways. I don't know. I feel like we always get on these tangents of bird.
That's okay though, because today I told you before we got on, like there's nothing to be on topic to. So there's no tangent because it's all tangent. The whole thing is just tangent.
Yeah.
So but I don't want to take up much more of your time because we've gone almost an hour here, and I appreciate your time.
Cool.
So
wow, that was
it goes by fast. Right. Thanks for coming by and being like the inaugural, I guess, 2023 happy hour guest.
Oh wow.
So
I didn't realize that was the inaugural. I feel honored. I'm gonna put that on my resume.
Yeah, there you go.
Right next to the name Robert.
Yeah. Now if you try to get people to call you Robert, people are going to be like, not Robbie, Robbe.
Well, that happened for the running event because when I signed up, when I registered, I guess I wasn't thinking, and I just like put in my legal, or maybe it was like Google Phil.
Yeah.
And it put in Robert. So my whole badge the whole time said Robert. I'm like, dude, I'm not my dad. Like, his name is Robert. So
awesome.
Anyways.
All right, man. Well, thanks so much. Hopefully the training continues to go well. I'll be seeing you in the streets of Tokyo. I don't know if I'll see you before then. I'm trying to think.
I hope so.
But if not, I'll definitely see you in Japan. That'll be wild, dude.
Yeah. Man, I mean, it's only 8 weeks away, I think. 7 weeks away.
Yeah. I don't know.
It is. That's what's crazy. It's coming up fast.
Yeah, sure is. All right, man. Well, thanks so much.
All right.
And thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks for staying lively in the chat, everybody. Be safe out there. Thank you.